Hello, incorrigibles. May I ask you a show of hands of how many people here in this room were not born conservatives or Republicans? Wow. How many people in this room were to the left of Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren? How many people in this room started asking a lot of hard questions like, what do all these rich Democrats know that I should know? How many people saw through the bullshit and said, I'm switching sides, I can't tolerate this crap anymore? How many of you notice I had my hand up to every one of those points and every one of those questions? I'll tell you folks, if you can reach me, you can reach Democrats. We're talking about Democrat voters versus the deep state Democrat operatives. The deep state operatives, the people who are very, very active Democrats, they are part of the corruption. They're part of the gang that's ripping us off. They're not going to change. They have no reason to change. We have to defeat them. And the way to defeat them is by reaching the people who have been voting traditionally for a Democratic Party that no longer exists. That's what we've got to reach. I want to start with these handouts. How many of you picked up these handouts? I've got 4 handouts here. And I want to call your attention to the first 2, Out of Work in America and The Case for Killing Granny. Notice the dates that these articles came out. I spotted these while going through the bookstore. I was at Barnes & Noble. And these, the Newsweek magazine article and the Time magazine article, they both stuck out. They both grabbed me, so I had to make a copy of these. And notice the titles of these 2 front pages. The Case for Killing Granny. Do you remember when Sarah Palin was accused of being a nut because she was talking about death panels? This article came out shortly after everybody was calling her a nut. And then you have the next article that came from Time magazine, the same date, Out of Work in America. Hey folks, this is the best it's going to be. We, as Barack Obama said, we had our time. It's time for us to move on. We've had all you white guys running everything for so long. You've had your day. Ain't gonna get any better than this, so just get used to it. These 2 articles were preparing us for Barack Obama. What he was really about and where he was going. Take that information and share that with your nutcase relatives that you always have a big discussion with every Christmas and every Thanksgiving. Next article, take a look at the date of this one. Tough job market giving parents babysitter pool of college graduates. This is what was happening during the Barack Obama years. College graduates not only couldn't pay off student loan debt, they're going back to babysitting, which is what they did back when they were in middle school, just to make ends meet. Yeah, Barack, you really gave us a great economy, man. Save these articles, show this to your dumb relatives. And to anybody else who thinks that, oh yeah, Barack really, he's really a great guy, he really laid it out there for us. No, it's all BS. And you can show these articles to them. That's going to be part of the red meat. Red meat is sometimes questioned. How do you explain this? And you're going to tell me that he was doing a great job. He wanted us to lower our expectations because it's not going to be any better than this. Sorry, folks, because we don't deserve any more. That's bullshit. I'm sorry. I'm not going to tolerate that, and nor should you. The next piece of information is very critical. This, I think, is the most important thing every one of us should realize in terms of why outreach to find Democrats is so crucial and so important. Important information. Take a look at the total votes that were cast for president. 128,824,246. Focus down on election night viewers. total, take a look at Fox News. 12,112,000 people. Go down to the State of the Union address, February 6, 2019, Fox News total, 11.1 million people. Now those are big numbers, but here's the problem. Take a look and compare those numbers with the total number of voters. That is our challenge, and that's why every one of us have got to be in this room. We've got to be here to reach out to the people who are not listening to talk radio, conservative talk radio, or Fox News, which is a lot of people. But that's outreach. That's where outreach comes in. We have to reach these people, and we must increase those numbers, because take a look at who everybody else got. ABC, NBC, CBS. They've got everything else. And Hollywood, of course. We know where Hollywood is. Hollywood is not just anti-Trump. Hollywood is anti-American. And is getting even worse. Here's why it's happening. How many of you remember this movie, Avatar? Okay, that thing stunk. When I sat there, it's an attack against the Marine Corps. That was the most BS thing I've ever seen in my whole life. But here's the thing about Avatar. It was a slap against the Marine Corps, a slap against our values. I said, this is anti-American crap. Avatar made all of its money in China. It didn't make its money here in the United States. They started to take a good close look, and here is what Hollywood has decided today. Our business model should go to China. There's 3 times the population. There's so many more screens over there. That's where we got to make our money, folks. To get movies made in China, you have to get through communist Chinese censors. What kind of movies are communist Chinese censors going to approve to show in China? You think they're going to say, make America great again? You think we're going to see anybody make it? No. Now you understand the challenge that we're facing. And it's huge. It's monumental. But it's not insurmountable. Because there's a lot of us out there, and think of us becoming a force multiplier. To reach out to people that we've never reached out before. To see people and talk to people that we've never talked to before. People have never seen a Republican, never seen a conservative. Where'd you guys come from? In 2002, Jack Brandenburg and I were talking about he wanted to run for a House seat. And to win that House seat, we had to win the city of St. Clair Shores. St. Clair Shores was the big kahuna. That was the big apple. St. Clair Shores and Harrison Township. Those are the 2 cities. But to win that, we had to win, as we showed, that these were cities that overwhelmingly gave their support to David Bonnier, and later, after redistricting, to Sandra Levin. This is a Democrat city. So we're planning our strategy for what we're going to do. He says, Ken, we got to make a case for the single business tax. He's really big on this. Yes, and we can explain that to voters. We can tell them why this tax is detrimental to job creation, why it's got to go. Then I ran across this interesting article. I said, Jack, take a look at this. All 3 Democrat candidates for governor went to the NAACP convention in Detroit and endorsed slavery reparations. I says, I'm going to talk to the people at the doors. I'm going to see what kind of response we get. Okay, Ken, go for it. So I had my walk sheets. Ms. Jones, how are you? My name is Ken. I'm helping Jack Brandenburg, who would like to be elected your state representative to represent St. Clair Shores and Harrison Township. We must change the single business tax, because if we don't change this tax, it's going to be last person out the door, turn off the lights. A business is taxed whether they make any profit or not, because it's based on, would you believe this, how much you're paying in benefits and wages to your employees. So you're actually being taxed under this system to employ people. And people look at me and says, what? That's right. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Of course it doesn't make sense. It's BS. We've got to get rid of this stupid tax structure. Jack wants to do that because we've got to bring more jobs to Michigan. Oh, by the way, all 3 Democrat candidates for governor, Bonnier, Blanchard, and Granholm, including Granholm, who's the candidate for governor, They endorse slavery reparations. That means you owe Oprah Winfrey, Tiger Woods, all these rich millionaire black guys in Hollywood, you owe them reparation for slavery. How does that grab you? What? What? Yeah. Is that a bunch of BS? Look, hey, we fought a civil war over this, and by the way, I'm a proud Republican. We're the political party whose basic foundation was the elimination of slavery. You think those people would give us any thanks? Oh, by the way, how many people here didn't know that? The basic foundation of the Republican Party was to eliminate slavery and save this union. You know, it's really funny, I don't hear many Republicans even talking about that. We rescued this country. We ended slavery. Thanks to us. We did it. That's why I'm a proud Republican, and that's why this whole slavery reparation thing is a bunch of BS. Can I bring you a lawn sign to show your support for Jack Brandenburg? What kind of support do you think I received at the doors? There's one city in particular, I lucked out one day. It was a long street, and I caught a lot of people home on a Saturday. It's called Shoreline Street. Now, Shoreline was sort of misnamed because it's not along a shore, but it just sort of ends up in South River Road in Harrison Township. I caught a lot of people home that day. I got 37 lawn signs on one street. In the most Democrat city, which was Precinct 6 in St. Clair Shores, there's one day, I lucked out again, caught a lot of people home, 24 lawn signs. John Llewellyn, who was head of the Republican campaign committee, he came out and saw our sign list. God, how many signs you guys going to put up out there? We had close to 1,400 commitments for lawn signs in two cities, St. Clair Shores and Harrison Township. So I talked to Jack, and Jack told me, he said, boy, this issue's really hot. I says, Jack, this is red meat. We've got to put out a slavery reparations piece. So we did. The piece was a beautiful white piece, and we mailed it, and in bright red letters, slavery reparations, no way. And inside, Jack put together a beautiful letter in tribute to the men who died during the Civil War in all these bloody battles. They paid the price for slavery with their blood. And what are we doing to those people? We're saying, your sacrifice didn't amount to crap. Now, was that in itself the thing that might have crossed us over? But we won St. Clair Shores. And not only did we win St. Clair Shores, but if you were ever to go down the street during a Memorial Day parade in St. Clair Shores, and Jack walks the street, Jack, hey, come on over here, let's grab a beer. Hey, you're my favorite Republican. Get over here, you know. And we ran as conservatives, unapologetic conservatives. That was on our literature. Jack Brandenburg, conservative Republican. John Llewellyn from the campaign committee said, well, do you think I want to run as a Republican? Well, we're going to be on the ballot as Republicans. That's what we're going to be running as. Why would we hide from it? We did. And we won. In the very next election in 2002, it was very interesting. They didn't bother running anybody against us because we said, hey, this guy Brandenburg, he's really got his stuff together. We can't mess with this guy. So they just put up a ringer and nobody against us. But we always did that same thing with Sandra Levin. They put a nobody up against Sandra Levin running for Congress. And that year, that was 2004, I looked at the totals. I said, Jack, look at this. We got more votes than Sandra Levin did. We got more votes than a liberal Democrat. We weren't running against him, but as conservative Republicans, we actually got more votes than he did. I says, I think people really understand our message and what we're talking about. And that's what it's all about. It's all about messaging. It's all about finding the red meat that's going to win over people who are going to think, you know, that is absolutely ridiculous. Slavery reparations. There's a lot of things that's ridiculous that we can talk about when we're talking to people. And one of those things right now, and a critical one, is the immigration issue. Right now, a lot of candidates need our help. Jack Brandenburg and I door knocked year-round. It wasn't just for elections. We'd be out there putting out our piece on, we want to get your opinion. Hey, I represent Jack Brandenburg, your state senator, your state representative. How do you feel about these issues? How do you feel about that issue? So we're always taking their temperature. We've always got to know that we're out there. And by constantly being out there and talking about the issues that matter to us, people said, you know what, I like this guy. So we're always showing our face. We were always out there talking to people. They knew who we were. They knew who Jack was. After a while, they knew who I was. I'd say, hey, Ken, how you doing? I said, who's this guy? I run into him on the street sometime. But we were connecting to people, and we connected on the issues that mattered. And we were actually turning voters. By 2010, the straight ticket Republican vote in 2010 actually slightly started to outnumber the straight ticket Democrat in St. Clair Shores. I would like to say that we were instrumental in making that happen. But it's not an automatic. It's not just a given. You have to present the issues to people that matter. Right now, the important issue to us and to every single one of our candidates and to our future is this issue of immigration. If we lose the immigration battle, my friends, what's going to conceivably happen over the next maybe 10 years or so? The entire South, all the way from California, which is what they already have, all the way Florida, including Texas, could turn blue. They want to nationalize and make 20 to 25 million more voters out of people who are going to be wedded to socialism and government handouts. That's going to make our job of trying to elect a Republican president over the next, say, maybe 8 years or 10 years or whatever, a mountain to climb. That's why we have to reach so many people who are coming out of the colleges and universities, not just misinformed, but they've been totally lied to and misled. We have to approach people like this. Okay, you've got candidates out here who are, right now they're out there door knocking. Right now they're out there, they need help. Please give them help. Please give them assistance. I'd be going to a door and talking, let's say I'm talking on behalf of Jim Runstead. Hi, I'm Ken, I'm helping Jim Runstead. He's your current state senator. Want to know how you feel about the job he's doing? I want to let you know this right now. One of the reasons why I'm here is because of the illegal immigration issue, and Jim feels very strongly about that. When my grandparents came to this country from Poland, back around the turn of the century, there was a wall that they had to go through, called the Atlantic Ocean. That's a very big wall. To get through that wall, they had to go through Ellis Island. They knew they had no constitutional right to come to this country. They had to prove who they were, did they have any employment, who their family was, what were their connections. They wanted to make sure they weren't going to end up on any kind of public assistance. They had to go through health exams. By the way, you know that only 1% of the people who arrived at Ellis Island ever had to be turned back. You know why? Because the shipping companies knew that if anybody didn't failed a health exam when they got there, they would be on that boat heading back. Well, they didn't want to carry any free passage. So the shipping companies made sure before the people got on the boats to begin with that they passed the health exam. So they went through 2 exams. One from the shipping companies and the lines before they got on the boat, and at the other end when they got to Ellis. That's why only 1% of them ever had to be turned back, because the shipping companies didn't want to bring them back. That makes sense. That's smart economics. So they had to go through health exams. You have to prove who these people are. And most importantly, when my grandparents came here, there was no Lyndon Johnson Great Society waiting for them. You cannot have, and I quote Milton Friedman on this, you cannot have an open-ended entitlement welfare state and open-ended immigration. You're tying a noose around the neck of your children and your grandchildren. And if there's a young kid or something, what's this young man? Who's Tommy? Okay, Tommy, he's going to get stuck with the bill. And then he's going to look back in 20 years and ask you, so what in the world did you allow to happen to my country? And you're going to have to stare him in the eye and tell him what you did. Are you going to let that happen? I say, wow, thank you very much for coming. I really appreciate it. Did you want some water? That's the kind of response you're going to get. Believe me, I know, because I used that technique when I was talking on behalf of Jim last year. We have the issues. We have the issues. We've got the red meat. Let's use it. And when you're talking to people, talk with passion and conviction. That's crucial. Because it's passion and conviction that's going to get your attention. And they know, boy, this guy knows what he's talking about. Because you've researched it. You know the truth. You've got all the facts. And you've got the passion behind you. You're a person on a mission. You're Paul Revere and Paul Reverette. You're out there knocking on the door. The British are coming. The British are coming. Get to the town square right away. Grab your musket. That's what you're doing. That's what we have to do if we're going to save our country. Well, we got tons of issues. We got tons of things we can ask people who are Democrat voters. I don't have time to cover all of them tonight because I'd be up here for a couple hours and I would certainly bore you beyond a certain point, even though I've got so much information I could, wow, look at this right here. But that we can save some for another time. But in terms of talking about the issues today, everybody is still talking about Donald Trump and whether or not he colluded with Russia. Here is a great question that you can ask people. Why in the hell would Vladimir Putin want Donald Trump to be elected president when both of their objectives in foreign policy are diametrically opposite of each other? That makes no sense. Let's take the issue of Poland, for example. Donald Trump made it very clear he wants a mutual defense treaty between the United States and Poland. What did Vladimir Putin say? He's opposed to that. He doesn't want to see any treaty between the United States and Poland. He doesn't want to see any close relationship between the United States and NATO. What about the Ukraine? Donald Trump has made it very clear. He wants a free and independent Ukraine. Vladimir Putin, like all the Russian nationalists, have always believed, going back to the Tsar and going back to Stalin, the Ukraine belongs to us. No. Sorry about that. They're an independent country, and we support an independent country. Also, let's take the issue of Israel. How do you think Vladimir Putin feels about Israel, especially when he's allied with Syria and Iran? Those are his buddies, for God's sake. You think they're going to support the moving of our embassy? You think they're going to support Israel? Of course not. And then let's not forget the Uranium One deal. Transferring 20% of our uranium reserves. Barack Obama did that, and Hillary Clinton benefited from it and her pals. So it makes no sense for them to collude. I'll tell you what makes sense, and this is what you can tell your stupid friends look in their face. Now, for Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and Vladimir Putin to get together and say, look, guys, all three of us can't stand this guy. We got to get rid of him, and we want to do everything we can to sabotage his administration. So let's cook up this idea that he's out there scheming with me. Now, that makes sense. All this other bullshit makes no sense whatsoever. And the biggest clarification of that is this article just came out. U.S. kicks off 19-nation war games drills with the Ukraine. Now listen to this. There's this idiot who's the UN ambassador to the United States. What is this guy? Some British idiot. He's out there saying, oh, this guy's an incompetent. This guy is out there. He doesn't know what he's doing. And we've heard that before, too. Oh, yeah, he's upset all of our allies, kicked everybody off. He doesn't know what he's doing. United States military is just kicking off with all of our NATO allies, 19 countries who are getting together with war games drills that are centered at the request of the Ukraine by the Ukraine. Listen to these countries who are participating. Bulgaria, Canada, Denmark, Estonia, France, Georgia, Greece, Italy, Latvia, Lithuania, Moldova, Norway, Poland, Romania, Sweden, Turkey, Ukraine, and the United Kingdom, and the Defense Department announced. What do you think Vladimir Putin thought when he saw this announcement? Do you think he gave him a case of diarrhea? Or whatever would happen to this guy? Do you think he would give down to him, hey, Don, what are you doing? Come on, we made a deal. Okay, we colluded. I don't want to. The Ukraine Holy crap, what are you doing to these guys? And look at all these countries. We don't want these countries. These are all former Soviet satellites. And I'm on record telling everybody that the collapse of the Soviet Union was the worst thing that ever happened. And here you are, you're collaborating with all these people, and you're strengthening NATO. That's not what you were supposed to do. This whole thing makes a joke of all the crap that those idiots and that ship of fools are trying to tell us that those two would be colluding. He's giving Vladimir Putin a big finger. He was colluding with him? Oh, give me a break. Folks, the issues that we have, you can probably come up with something yourself. Things that you've heard on talk radio, things that you've seen on Fox News. What you do is you take that information, and that's what we have to take to the uncommitted voters or the voters who are leaning the other way, because they haven't heard this stuff before. How many people that you would talk to know about the Steele dossier? How many people even know that the overwhelming majority of the people who were appointed by Mueller were all Democrat contributors, big-time Democrat contributors? They'd probably be shocked. Well, what do you mean, big time? I thought these people were all open-minded. No, these people were all hacks. They rigged this game right from the start. How many people know that? Well, as the numbers clearly show, not enough. Because those are the people who are Fox News watchers. Those are people who are listeners to conservative talk radio. But there's not enough of this. We must grow the choir. We have no choice. How much time do I have?
7 more?
7 more minutes. Okay. I'm sure a lot of you have questions. And
I was wondering what the official
Don't you love the street?
party is on geoengineering and 5G.
I could not tell you that in terms of what their particular position on that issue really is.
Nobody's talking about geoengineering. That's one of the worst things facing civilization. Nobody's talking about it.
Chemtrails. He doesn't know.
We need to talk about it.
Let him finish up.
Here's one thing I want to impress upon everybody about pardon me, about geoengineering. What would you want to say about it? Stand up and give me your presentation. Give me a quick 2-minute presentation of what it is.
Well, I wasn't planning on doing this.
Well, no, that's okay. Here, come on over here, please. Come on up. Look it out here. Hold it up to your mouth. There you go.
Wasn't planning on doing this, but geoengineering, everybody's probably living under it, breathing it, don't even know that they are. There's airplanes up in the sky dropping out aluminum, barium, and strontium. You probably see all these white trails in the sky behind airplanes. Those aren't contrails. Those are chemtrails, and it's under the guise of geoengineering. Now, they're not going to tell you much about it because they don't want you to know. They don't want you to kick back. They don't want you to know you're breathing it. They don't want you to know that Alzheimer's up because of breathing aluminum. They don't want you to know autism is up because of breathing aluminum. But that's what we're doing. But anyway, it's called geoengineering.
A little bit.
Okay, that's all I wanted. I didn't want to.
Actually, I'm glad you brought this up. And this is an important thing. This is an important thing to consider. There may be an issue that matters to you, but you'll know within 15 or 20 visits whether or not it's a yawner to them or whether or not it makes any difference. Not every issue is one to die for. That's the thing we have to keep in mind. Let me give you an illustration of what will happen. How many of you have ever heard of Romeo Tea Party? Romeo Tea Party, at their very first meeting, I was there was over 450 people who showed up at their first meeting. A few people took over and commanded Romeo Tea Party, and every one of them were talking about smart meters. Smart meters, smart meters, smart meters, smart meters. And this was a clique maybe of about 14, 15 people. Well, after a while, what happened was the group started to shrink in terms of its size. It wasn't an issue that a lot of people were ready to die for. I can't think of the lady's name right now, but the wonderful woman who started Romeo Tea Party passed away. After she passed away, Romeo Tea Party died. Disappeared. Every issue, some issues are what we call pellaloo. This is what I want to tell people about. Is this issue a pellaloo? Here's what pellaloo was. That was a battle that General MacArthur says, okay, we've got to take that island. Very crucial to get this island because we want that airfield. It was a bloody battle. After we took the airfield, after we took the island, General MacArthur decided, you know, we really didn't need that island anyway. We could just bypass that island, which is what we did with a lot of islands. We didn't invade them, we didn't take over, we just simply surrounded them, cut the Japanese off from all their supplies, and they'd eventually starve to death. That's what we should have done with Peleliu, rather than just, so how do we tell those young men that, hey, you died for nothing because we didn't really have to invade that island anyway. That's what I'm saying. Is this a Peleliu? Is this battle something that you're going to wage and you're going to have a lot of people saying, okay, fine, thank you very much, and move off and yawn? You have to find an issue that's going to be red meat to enough people. Like I said, I got 37 lawn signs about slavery reparations. Not that we could do anything about it, but it was an issue that aligned us with the voters, that they could see through it. Am I ready to get done very shortly? Okay, I just want to finish with this talk. This will be my completion in terms of this issue. I've got a lot of issues I can bring up, things we can talk about at another time. I hope we have a chance to do this again. I really would. But I want to give you an idea of why we're here and what should be our motivation. Everybody talks about what's wrong with socialism. I ran into this program that was on Nightline several years ago. And what this program was about is called The Dirty Little Secret of Socialism. What the socialist government was doing of Sweden from the 1920s to the 1970s, every doctor had the arbitrary right to sterilize children without their consent if they didn't look pure enough, if they didn't look Nordic enough. You know, the blue-eyed, blonde-haired type thing. We thought that came out of Nazi Germany. No. It was a guy named Lawrence, who was the reporter, who came upon this story, and he brought Ted Koppel in, and they talked to a couple of young people who were middle-aged people who found that, why can't I have children? Well, they thought, well, you must have been part of the sterilization. What sterilization program? They did it without a lot of people even knowing what they did. But you see, to preserve a perfect blue-eyed, blonde-haired specimens, and also to make sure that we didn't get stuck with people that we didn't need. Nazi Germany later called them unnecessary persons. They were part of the eugenics movement, which is what Margaret Sanger was part of. And this program was horrible when you talk to these people. And she said, I guess I just wasn't pretty enough as a kid to justify my having any children. These are people who represent compassionate government. Government that's there to take care of us against life's uncertainties. How many of you remember Mark Scott, radio personality? Mark used to close his program with a very compelling question. So who will protect us from our protectors? Who will protect us from our protectors? I want you to think about that story that I just told you. That when I heard it, it was shocking, it was frightening. Look in the mirror. Who will protect us from our protectors? You look in the mirror and you shout, I will. I will do it. Because that's why I'm here. Are you going to do it? Yeah. You're going to stand up to these bastards and tell them, you go to hell. You're not going to do this to my country. Then stand up. Come on, stand up. Tell me, who will